I started the video directly by saying if you want to just get to the gist of it, skip the timestamp below. Otherwise, this is the first episode of a series I will start. I have no idea how often I'm going to post, but this is just going to be me blabbering about certain subjects, mostly in game development, software development, and the creative aspects of creating software, specifically games, because I'm a game developer. This is the first one in many, hopefully, to come. I seek nothing out of this. It's just going to be me straight up talking, hopefully no edits, about topics in game development. The first topic I want to address is, as the title already says, how not to succeed in making a game. So the first big project I did was a horror title, psychological horror title called Revere. It was started maybe 6 years ago, something like that. Was my biggest indie game ever, and I gathered some people, a very good friend of mine, and we did like a mock for it. It was set. It was like a point and click thing. I was inspired by FNAF. I always liked FNAF growing up, and we want to do a psychological point and click inspired by FNAF 1 and 4. They have very good atmosphere and pretty good story. And I said, let's make something like that, but high fidelity graphics with a more horror element, because FNAF is not very horror, it's not really eerie, and we wanted to do that. So I reached out to a friend of mine who was also a game developer, and we started working on it. We've got one more guy on the 3D side, and things were going pretty well. After a few months, I posted on Reddit about our progress and whatnot, and the post blew up in Romania. It was very good. Like, Romanian developers exist, and we've been invited to national television. It was a very nice period for us, but after some time, work got in the way, and we had to pause. The game was called Elemental at the time, and after a few more months, we started from scratch because we weren't really very happy with the result of the game. So we started from scratch, the same idea but different. At first we used the SRP and in Unity for those of you who are technical, and then we switched to HDRP and gotten 2 more people on the project. They were both juniors, and so we started from scratch after 1 year. And from the time we started again to the time we finished the project, it was 1 year and a half, so like 18 months. Mind you, hobby project. It wasn't a full-time adventure. So in total, it was maybe 2 years and a half, something like that, for one project. This is the first step to fail when you're making an indie game. An indie game at its core, it's indie. It's something small. It's something passionate. And if you really want to make some money with it, you don't do it 2 years and a half. So this was the first problem. It was a very long time that we spent on only one idea. And our launch was good. It was decent for our expectations because we didn't really have any, but it could have been way better. So this is the first. Don't work 10 years on a project that you really want to release and move forward. I'm mostly talking about people that are very passionate about game development, but are not very passionate about one game in general. Because I know people who are working on one game for like a lot of years, 5, 10 years, but that's something they want because they're very passionate about that project in on itself. The second thing is, when you start doing something, it's very important to listen to people's opinions. We were thinking, like, game design wise, and that was one of my earliest mistakes. Players will enjoy this. Players will like this. Why? Just because I said so. And if I like it, they will probably like it. And that's very wrong. That's very wrong. You need to approach game development by thinking not what you like, but what the players like. I like horror, yes, that's good. So I did a horror project, but specific mechanics and systems from the game should also be influenced by, do they appeal to the target audience? And so I assumed a lot of things, and when I released, a lot of reviews said that's not good, or that could have been done better. That's problem number two. Listen to people, listen to players. The players are going to play your game. That's problem number two. Problem number three, when you write the code, I was the main coder in the first project. The second project, I did coding, but I mostly allowed the juniors to do the code. And that was good because they had a lot of uh, room to grow, but the code was, as we like to say, spaghetti. And when you have spaghetti code, when you start changing things, the problem with spaghetti code, and that's very interesting, the problem with spaghetti code is not that the developers just wanted to get to implement a feature and get done with it, right? That's not the problem. That's not how spaghetti code rises. Spaghetti code rises when there's changes in design, right? You say that, for example, the mechanic is point and click, and so the developer implements the point and click mechanic from scratch, and then after 2 months, I come in and say, I like the point and click mechanic, but what if for 15 minutes in one scene he can just move around? Well, that's insane. You need to implement a new feature, but you don't just implement a new feature, you have to change the existing feature to implement the new feature. And I can give countless examples. And Revere, our game, suffered from a lot of design changes like any other game. And so the code, junior code, and a lot of design changes, and the hobby project, the code became spaghetti. And months prior to release, we were fixing a bug and another bug appeared. It was very tough. And so we had to release with a few to more bugs. And the reviews right now on Steam, they are not positive. They're mixed. I think 67 or 68% are positive, therefore we're in the mixed category. That's why I titled the video How Not to Succeed, because for us it was a success. It was our very first project. We were very proud of it. Right now we are undergoing some changes to Revere to re-release it. Again, still free, just to make sure that people are going to enjoy it. There are going to be no bugs. And getting into the third or fourth problem, it was not clear enough. A lot of the reviews said, I don't understand what I have to do. The onboarding, as we say in mobile games, for PC, that is the tutorial or the setting of the game, was not very clear. People didn't understand how to use the mouse to operate around the universe of Revere. They didn't understand the puzzles. Why? Because we did two sort of puzzles. We did very easy puzzles, and we did very hard puzzles. Who do you target? Do you target hardcore puzzle fans? They will hate the easy ones. Do you target casual players? They will not be able to finish the very complicated puzzles. We basically wanted to target everyone and ended up targeting no one. Uh, that's also a problem. So, see, there's so many issues that when looking back at your failure, you can understand, and that's very important. If you are a game developer right now and you released a game and it was a failure in a way, that's very good. Because from failures, you learn, hopefully, you learn, you write the motives for why the failure happened in the first place. And the second time you do it, you make sure that those failures, those reasons for failure are not going to occur again. Some others, some other reasons are going to occur, but failure and maybe another failure are going to bring you to a success. So, and if you're a game developer and you're working on an indie game right now, take into account what I just said. Try to implement good systems. Try to implement features that player will like and they will love to play, and make sure that your market, your addressable market, is not everyone. That's not a market. That's everyone. Try to understand what is your game about. Who wants to play your game? Are you making RPG? Okay, that's a very broad term. Are you making a fantasy RPG? Are you making a steampunk RPG? Right? Understand your genre and try right now, if you're developing a game right now, take a piece of paper or a document and for half an hour, try to find the absolute best phrase that could describe your game in a few words. Not too many words, not too little words. A phrase. That's when somebody asks you, what is your game about? And you're gonna say this. This is what my game is about. X is about this. Don't use AI. Use your mind. It's very important because games are a creative process. Again, games are a creative process. And for creativity, you need humans. So think, turn off everything around you, and think about what your game really is. That's very important. So, with all these issues, we released Revere in, I think, February 2024. That was 2 years ago. So many issues occurred, and we tried to fix them and push updates and push updates. But at the end of the day, it ended up being mixed. We had, I think, 8,000 wishlists, and we did a decent number of sales, and reviews were quite a lot of reviews. You know, the 10 review rule on Steam, we surpassed that by no problem. Uh, and I think that we could have done better. But I am not mad about it, and I have no regrets because being our first project, everybody learned a lot. And with that project, we were able to secure a second project and a third project, and so on. So don't discourage yourself. Failure is part of the process, everybody says, and it's almost cliche. Failure is part of the process. Yes, it is. And try to own your failures. Don't blame the players. Don't blame the team. Don't blame the economics, political environment. Blame yourself and learn from the blame. Don't kill yourself over it. This was the first video about how not to succeed, not to succeed in video game development. Just me blabbering about. There might be a new episode again on Revere because we have a process which you try to make it better, solve the bugs, and make the experience of the user be more friendly. And yeah, that's it. See you.